Good morning. Let's start just in a nice, comfortable position. If sitting cross-legged on the mat is not comfortable, you're welcome to raise your hips up by sitting on a block. You might want to have a few blocks handy for this practice. Let's just start by finding a nice calm breath, maybe closing your eyes or letting your gaze just rest down. And just take a nice deep breath, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Starting to waken up the body and also just feeling more connected with what is going on inside of you today. Start to let your shoulders maybe relax a little from your ears as your spine lengthens. Maybe the chin tucks in slowly, top of the head reaches straight up towards the sky. Feel the belly and the ribs expand and contract with the breath. Let's bring our hands together and start to rub the palms together vigorously, creating a little heat. And then place the palms over the eyes, just cupping over the eyes. Open the eyes into the palms, adjusting to the light gradually. And then just release your hands away from your eyes. And we're going to come into child's pose, just to take a few more breaths. So knees will be wide, big toes together. Let your hips come down to your heels and reach the hands forward. If your forehead doesn't make it all the way to the mat, you can either stack your hands or use a block here to make sure there's some pressure on your forehead. Again, just taking some nice deep breaths here, just noticing the back body. Giving ourselves some room here with our hips wide for the low back and the hips and the spine to open a little and lengthen. A couple more breaths before we start to move. And then reaching the hands forward, spread the fingers wide. And just lift the hips, bring the knees back under the hips so that we're in tabletop position. And then just doing a few cat-cows, a really good movement to warm up the spine, the shoulders, the hips. So as you inhale, just lower the belly, lift the hips, lift the shoulders. And then as you exhale, press the mat away, curl down, look at your belly button. Inhale, back to cow. Exhale into cat. Just do this with your own breath. Nice and slow and controlled. Just do one more round of cat-cow. And then we'll just all meet in a neutral spine. So there's still some engagement in the core here. The hands are still pressing into the mat. But we have just our neutral, beautiful curve that we have in our spine without any adjustments to it. And then just feel that lengthening from the top of the head all the way through the spine to the tailbone. And then we're going to curl our toes under and push up and back into downward dog. This is our very first downward dog. Let's just pedal it out a bit. hamstrings might be a little tight, especially if you're just practicing in the morning. So be gentle. And then coming back to stillness in our downward dog. We're keeping a nice little bend in the knees, really pressing the mat away from us, lengthening through the arms, top of the shoulders, down the spine, all the way to the hips, and then feeling it as your heels start to get closer to the mat, all the way up your legs, back up to the hips. Shifting your weight forward, we're just going to look forward and then just walk to the front of your mat. Go into a forward fold. Feet are under your hips. A slight bend in the knees still. Release your head and neck. Inhale, come halfway up. So hands on the shins, shoulders away from the floor. Long spine here. Let's just do that a few times as we exhale and fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. One more time. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way overhead. And then we're going to clasp the fingers and let the index fingers point straight up. Exhale to the right. And we're going to hold it here. So notice where the weight is in your body and see if you can distribute your weight evenly in the right and left leg, even though we're leaning to the right. Maybe look past your upper arm, just a little, feeling a big lateral stretch. Inhale, come back to center. On your next breath, we'll just lean to the left. Again, turning maybe your gaze past your right arm. Next breath, back to center. Let's do that one more time. To the right. Breathing here, finding space in the lateral body. Back to center. And then to the left. And back to center. Let's just let our arms float down by our sides. And then we'll bring our hands to our shoulders, thumbs in back, fingers in front. Let's make some circles. Our elbows starting to warm up the shoulders. And then we'll reverse this, go to the back. Let your arms come out to the side. See if you can find cactus arms. We're going to bring our shoulder blades together on our back. Maybe the elbows come past our shoulders to the back. And then let's bring the elbows and the palms of the hands together in the front. So notice what's going on in the back body here. Inhale, shoulder blades come together as we open the elbows. Shoulder blades come apart as our elbows and palms come together. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and release the arms. Just shake it out a little bit. And then standing a little bit with your feet a little wider than hip distance apart, we're just going to swing the body in a very organic way. Let the hands maybe kind of touch your hips or wherever they will without directing it into a certain pose, just moving with the weight of your body just to warm everything up a little. And then coming back to center. Let's place our hands on our low back. Fingers are going to be down, pointing down, with the pads of our hands just right in the base of our hips. So we're just going to do a little standing back bend here. So pressing down with the feet, feeling very grounded. Take a nice big inhale and lift the chest up. So lengthening up towards the sky, and then maybe you can lean back and the gaze may start to come up towards the ceiling. Elbows reach back. Take just a few breaths here. Just a nice standing back bend. Think about lengthening up and kind of back. On your next exhale, we'll release back to center. Let's inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, hold. Release the head and neck. Maybe let the head go in circles, or you might want to swing it. No. And yes, just to release a little tension in the back. Coming to center, inhale halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale halfway, fold. Bending the knees. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead, palms through heart center and into mountain pose. So in mountain pose, making sure your feet are right under your hips, standing tall, palms are facing out, shoulders away from the ears. Chin slightly tucked, top of the head reaches up. So from the top of our mat and mountain pose, let's inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come halfway up, lengthen the spine. On the exhale, plant your hands, step back into plank pose. So in plank pose, our shoulders are right over our wrists and the abs are engaged. So if you need to, you can come to kneeling plank. Perfectly acceptable. Going to keep the elbows close to the body as we exhale and lower down. And then pressing into the mat, inhale into just a baby cobra. Keep those elbows pointing back towards the back of the mat. Lift the heart forward. Pressing into the mat, curl the toes, find downward dog. Take a few breaths here. Pressing into the mat with the hands, letting the hips start to get lighter and the heels get heavier. Look towards the front of your mat and shift your weight. Step or walk your right foot all the way to the front of the mat. Coming to your fingertips, or you can use some blocks here. So you're on the ball of your left foot. Let the hips sink down towards the mat. And then bending the left knee, step forward into a forward fold. Inhale halfway. Lengthen. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, step back into plank again. High or low. Exhale, lower down. Inhale. Find that baby cobra again, pulling the mat towards you. Lift your heart forward. Shoulders away from the ears. Pressing into the mat, curl the toes, back into downward dog. Take a few breaths. So if you get really fatigued easily, you might want to try puppy pose here as an alternative. And then we'll just all meet back in downward dog. Again, shifting your weight. Step the left foot forward. Nice long lunge. Come to the fingertips or blocks. Let the hips reach down for the mat. Your right leg is really strong and your left knee is over your ankle. Bending the right knee. Step forward into a forward fold again. Inhale, come halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead through heart center, back into mountain pose. Either resting your gaze down or close your eyes. Connect with your breath. raise your gaze. For the next pose, we're gonna have our feet a little bit wider than our hips and the toes pointed out. So we're gonna do a squat pose here. So your tailbone is gonna reach straight down. You can readjust your feet if you need to once you get down. And some people need a block to sit on, so that's perfectly okay. You might want to have a block accessible just in case. So we're just going to inhale, reach the arms up, and then exhale, hands to the heart as we bend the knees out to the side and bring our tailbone straight down. So see if you can get your elbows on the inside of your knees. That'll help you with a little leverage here. If you need to sit on a block, it's perfectly okay. So hands to heart, and we'll sit here just for a couple of breaths. As you stay here, you might notice that your hips will release a little and you can get a little deeper into the pose. Release the hands to the mat. As you inhale, lift the hips, lift the head and neck, release. Exhale back into your squat. Fingertips to the mat, lift your hips. And back into our squat. Notice the difference in the quality of your squat now compared to just the very first one that we just did. Fingertips to the mat. Lift the hips, heel toe the feet back under the hips at the front of the mat. Inhale, come halfway up, lengthen the spine, exhale, fold. We're going to bring the fingertips to the mat, or if you've got blocks handy, you can always use blocks here. So we're going to take the right foot and we're just going to bring it around the back of the left foot. So we're going to keep the right leg pretty straight and have a bend in the left knee. Just folding over the legs. Nice IT band stretch. Big stretch for the hips. And just take some breaths here. And then take that right leg back around. Inhale, come halfway up, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. Fingertips to the mat. This time the left leg comes around. So the left leg stays straight. This is the one that you'll feel the IT band on. And just bending the right knee a little. Folding over. Release that left leg back around. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead through heart center and into mountain pose. Again, just reconnecting in mountain pose with your breath and with your body. What is going on? And with your mind, what is going on? The chatter. Calm that. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, fold from the hips. Fingertips touch the mat, release the head and neck. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, plant the hands, step back into plank pose. Knees can be up or down. Exhale, lower with the elbows close to the body. Inhale, lift the chest. Pull the mat towards you. Pressing into the mat, curl the toes, back into downward dog. Looking forward, right leg comes to the front of the mat. If you need to give it a little assistance, you can. Make sure your right knee is over your ankle. Let's let the left knee come to the mat and untuck the left toes. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Curl the left toes, step forward. Forward fold. Inhale, half. Exhale, fold. plant the hands, step back into plank pose. Core is strong. Elbows close to the body as we lower down. Inhale, cobra, lifting the heart. Exhale, downward dog. Looking forward, step your left foot to the front of the mat, coming up to your fingertips. Right knee comes down to the mat, untucking the toes. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold. Curl the toes. Step the right foot forward. Inhale, half. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms through heart center and into mountain pose. Using mountain pose each time just to reconnect with the breath. Inhale, reach the arms overhead and fold. Fingertips come to the mat or to a block. Release the head and neck. Take your left leg back into a long lunge and then let your left knee come down, untucking the toes. So do a little visual check here to make sure that your right knee is over your ankle. Make adjustments if you need to. Let the hips start to sink down towards the mat as you lift your chest forward, keeping your elbows or keeping your shoulders away from your ears. And let the shoulder blades come down and back. So if you have your fingertips on blocks, you're going to bring those with you. As you walk the hands back, straighten the front leg, reach those right toes up. And walk your hands forward again. Let the hips sink. Walk the hands back, lift the right toes up as you straighten the right leg. And walk forward. One more time. Walking back, straightening the right leg. Feel that hamstring as you pull your heel towards you. And walk the hands forward again. Sinking the hips down. Curling the toes of the left foot, we're going to lift the knee and step forward. Inhale, lengthen the spine, coming halfway up. Exhale, fold, fingertips to the mat. This time stepping the right foot all the way back. Left knee is over the ankle, so do that visual check. Let the right knee come to the mat and untuck the toes. Let the hips start to sink down towards the mat. Shoulders are away from the ears. Walk the hands back. Bring your blocks with you if you have those. Lifting the toes of the left foot. Walk the hands forward, sink the hips down. Walk the hands back, lift the left toes. Walk the hands forward, sinking into your lunge. And back, feeling that left hamstring. And walking forward. Curling the toes of the right foot, lift the right knee, step forward. Inhale halfway, exhale fold, fingertips to the mat, step your left foot back. This time keeping the knee up, so the left leg is really strong here. Let the hips start to sink down. Let your heart start to lift up and forward as the shoulder blades come down the back. You can use your right hand to help bring your torso upright. Left leg stays really strong here. Right knee is over the ankle. Let's inhale and reach the arms overhead. And then we're going to exhale and turn to the left and bring the arms more parallel to the floor. And then inhale, come back to center. Exhale. Little twist here and back to center. One more time. Exhale, twist, Inhale, center. Exhale, release the fingertips to the mat. Step the left foot forward. Inhale, come halfway up, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. Fingertips to the mat, right leg goes back. Big lunge. Let the hips sink. Using your left knee to help bring your torso up. Let your hips start to sink down. Right leg is strong. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, turn to the right this time. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. One more time. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Release the fingertips to the mat. Step the right foot forward. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead through heart center. Back into mountain. Reconnecting with our breath. Reconnecting with our body. Reconnecting with our mind. Now we're going to take our left foot and we're going to step back so that it's parallel to the short edge of the mat. Right toes stay pointing forward towards the front of the mat. So we're going to start to move into our warrior pose and a few other poses with this orientation of our hips open towards the long edge of the mat. So inhaling the arms parallel to the floor, we're going to bend the right knee. So do a visual check. Make sure your right knee is over your ankle. And then look over the front fingertips into Warrior Two. Make sure that your right knee is tracking over the middle part of your foot so that it's really pulling out towards the right. And we'll add a little movement here. Inhale, straighten the leg as you reach the palms together overhead. Exhale, back into Warrior. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale into Warrior. And reaching. Stay into our Warrior pose now just for a few breaths. Make sure the shoulders release away from the ears. Our gaze is forward over our front fingertips in Warrior pose to see what is coming. Bend the right elbow and let that elbow come to the right thigh. So we're going to come into a big side angle stretch. Left arm can reach over the ear, but if that's not comfortable for your shoulder, you can always leave it at your low back or just rest it on your hip here. Our hips are still open towards the long edge of the mat. Let's take a few breaths here. Adding some movement, we're just going to bring the fingertips in front as we turn our shoulders more forward, and then bring that hand down and around, and we're following it with our gaze as much as possible. Let's do that again. Make this big circle as it comes down, back, up and around. One more time. Coming into our side angle pose. And then let's just come back up through our warrior pose just for a breath here. And then we'll straighten the front leg. Arms stay parallel to the floor. Reach forward with your right fingertips. Let your left hip point back towards the back of your mat. And then we'll come back to center. Reach, reach, reach. Come back to center. Reach, reach, reach. This time, we're going to windmill the arm so that the right hand comes to Either the right leg, the shin, maybe the floor, or this is also a really good place for a block, either in front or behind your right foot. And then stacking the shoulders as much as possible, reach the left arm up. So you can look forward or maybe up at your lifted hand. And this time we're gonna reach that left arm over and then up. So exhale, reach over the top of your head and then up towards the sky and then over the head and up towards the sky. Good job. And then on a breath, we're just going to bring our torso upright, release the hands, and then turn towards the front of our mat, step forward, come into mountain pose. And then we'll do the other side. So inhale and exhale. Inhale halfway, exhale fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead through heart center, back into mountain pose. This time stepping the right foot back. So it's parallel to the short edge of your mat, left toes are pointed forward as we get ready for our warrior pose. So the orientation of our body, our shoulders and our hips is more in line with the long edge of the mat. Let's inhale, the arms parallel to the earth. Bend that left knee, make sure it's over your ankle. Torso is upright and strong, warrior pose, looking over the front fingertips. Inhale, reach the fingertips up as you straighten the front leg. Exhale, back into warrior. Inhale, reach. Exhale, warrior two. One more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, warrior two. Stay here for a few breaths, relaxing the shoulders, but keeping the strength of the warrior pose. Bending our left elbow, we're going to come into side angle. So letting the left elbow come to the left thigh, reach that right arm all the way overhead. If you wish, we're going to add some movement here. So following with your gaze as the fingertips come forward and down, back, and around. Let's do that 2 more times. Exhale. Inhale. Reach. Exhale. Inhale. Reach. Last time. Taking some breaths here. Coming back through our warrior pose just for a breath. Straighten the front leg. Reach the left fingertips forward this time. The whole torso follows. And then come back to center. Reach, reach, reach. Coming back to center. Reach, reach, reach. Back to center. Last time, reaching, windmilling the arms. Let your left hand come somewhere along your shin, the floor, or your block. Right arm comes straight up. Open the front of the body. And then we're just going to reach that right arm over our ear. Inhale, reach it up towards the sky. Exhale, over the ear. Inhale to the sky. One more time. Reach over the ear and up to the sky. Beautiful. Let's bring our arms parallel to the floor again. Release the arms, looking forward. We're going to step to the front of the mat, finding mountain pose. Just re-establish your mountain pose from the ground up. take some breaths here. As you lift your gaze, inhale, sweep the arms overhead, exhale, fold. Inhale halfway, exhale, fold. Plant the hands, come into plank pose. Again, knees can be up or down. Exhale, lower. Inhale, cobra. Elbows are close to the body and shoulders away from your ears. Pressing in with the mat, back into downward dog. Lengthen the spine. We'll stay here just for a few breaths. You can still have a nice bend in the knees if that feels good. Now we're going to walk the hands towards the feet this time. So we'll end up at the back of our mat in our forward fold. Inhale, come halfway up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead through heart center, back into mountain pose. I think we're going to do a balance pose. Since we're outside today, I think tree pose seems appropriate. So finding your balance on both feet before we try it on one is very important. So let's look down, make sure that our feet are hip distance apart, right under our hip bones. Lift the toes and spread the toes. Feel that energy start to come up the front of the body. Maybe even the kneecaps are lifted. You can feel it all the way up into your thighs and hips. Keep that energy, keep the toes lifted for now. We're gonna lift the heart as we lengthen our tailbone just slightly. Trying to find a little bit more length here. And then the top of the head is reaching straight up. Let's do a few little shoulder rolls here. Let our shoulders come away from our ears. Palms out to the side, facing forward. Fingers are reaching in all directions. And then let's let the toes come down one at a time, starting with the pinky toe, planting those toes down so that we're rooted in our tree before we even start to move. Feel grounded here, rooted. So several options. We're going to shift our weight to the right side. You might also want to find some place to rest your gaze as we bend the left knee. You can keep the toes on the ground and let your left heel reach, just touch right above your ankle. Opening the left leg out to the side. You can also bring your foot to your calf. So we want to avoid the knee. See if you can bring it to your thigh even, and bring your hands to heart center. If you feel grounded here and strong in your right leg, maybe even reaching the arms overhead. And then bring your hands back to center. Release your leg. Let's walk it out a little bit. That right leg did a lot of work here. And then we have to reestablish our roots. So lifting the toes, find that energy. The more times you do this, the quicker you can just find your really grounded mountain pose. Just take a breath here. Find whatever you need to just to find that strength. And then when you're ready, we're going to shift the weight to the left side. Right foot comes up. It's 3 different options, just avoiding the knee. Maybe it comes up to the thigh. And then bring the hands to heart center. Root down with that standing leg. Find your drishti, your gaze. Maybe reach the arms up. Find your breath. Beautiful. And then bring the hands back to your heart. Release the right leg. And release the hands. Walk it out a little bit. Very good. Good job. Coming back to the front of your mat. We're going to inhale, reach the arms overhead, and then exhale, fold forward. Release the head and neck here. Take some breaths. So you might still have a little bend in your knees, but just notice the quality of your forward fold compared to the very first one we did just as we started our practice. Take some nice deep inhales and exhales here. And then placing the hands on the mat, we're just going to bring one knee down and then the other. Planting the hands, find table pose. So this time, we're going to take the left leg out to the left with the sole of the foot flat on the ground. Mine is more in a 90-degree straight out from my hips, but if that's not good for you, you might have it back a little bit. That's fine. So in our table pose with a little gate pose added to it. Now let's find some cat-cows. So inhale, lift the hips and the shoulders, and then exhale, round down into cat. Moving with your breath, finding your cow pose, and notice you've got a little bit more room on the left side hip to do your rotation. It just feels just a little bit different. And then meeting back with a neutral spine. We'll take our left knee and bring it back under our hip. And then extend the right leg out. So same thing, place the sole of the foot all the way on the ground out to the side. And then just dipping the belly and coming into cow. And then exhaling into cat. Just move with your breath. And coming back into a neutral spine. We'll bring the right knee back under the hips. Let's bring our big toes together and widen the knees. Press your hips back towards your heels first before you start to lower your torso down. Again, bringing your forehead to the mat, the backs of your hands, or a block. Or you can reach your arms out forward. Lengthen your spine, connect with your breath. This is a really good pose to help find that breath in the back body. So as you inhale and exhale in your child's pose, just be aware of the body moving in and out of the lungs, and even you can feel it through your hips and spine. And then just reach the hands forward and lift the hips. We're going to swing the legs around to the front. Come into staff pose. So if you have a blanket, you might want to lift your hips up just a tiny bit, but it's not necessary. So in staff pose, we're as strong as we are in mountain pose, only we're sitting. You might need to move some flesh out of the way so that you can really feel grounded through the hips. Toes are flexed as though we're standing. And thighs are pressing down, heart is lifted up. You can bring your hands beside you if you like. Chin is tucked. Take a few breaths here. On your next inhale, let's reach the arms overhead. And then start to fold forward, but see if you can reach out first. So really getting more extension from the low back before we come into the fold. So if you need to bend your knees a little bit or a lot, that is perfectly okay. Your hands can be touching anywhere along your legs, your ankles, or maybe you can get to your feet, that's fine. I'm just going to take some nice deep breaths here. Think about lengthening the spine and just folding forward. Again, bent knees are okay, hands on the ankles or shins are okay. And then reaching the fingertips forward again. Inhale, reach all the way up. And then exhale your hands back down. So I'm going to shift my hips over to the left side of my mat and then bend the right knee so that the right foot is on the inside of the right thigh. So I'll turn this way so that you can see what this looks like. So the right knee is just laying on the mat. You can also use something to prop this right knee up if you need to, and it's on the left, inside of the left leg. But this left leg is still really strong, just like in our staff pose. Toes are pointed up. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, reach forward, and then fold over your left leg. Press that right foot dynamically into your thigh as you find some extension. Again, your left knee can be bent here. Perfectly okay. Your hands can be anywhere along your leg. All of our poses will look just a little bit different depending on our bodies. Inhale, reach the hands forward and all the way up. Exhale, release the hands. Let's bring the feet a little wider than our hips. Let's bring them all the way out to the edges of our mat. And let's bring our hands behind us, just leaning on our hands, and just do a few little windshield wipers here. So let the knees just float over from one side to the other, getting a little massage in the hip. You can feel it right in this nice hip socket. And then coming back to center, we'll start with staff pose again. You might want to shift your weight a little to the right of your mat. Find that strong staff pose. Thighs are pressing down, chest is raised, just like we were in mountain pose. And this time we're going to bend the left knee and bring the left foot into the right thigh. Use a prop if you need to for your left knee. And then looking forward, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, reach forward first, and then down toward your leg, touching anywhere along the way, keeping the right knee bent if you like. And then finding your breath here. Press that left foot into the right thigh. One more breath. Release and reach forward and all the way up. And release the arms down. Let's do our windshield wiper again. Feet are wide, hands behind us, then just shifting from one side to the other. And now sitting up tall, we're going to bring the soles of our feet together. So you can use your hands on your ankles or maybe on your feet. You can bring them in close if that feels good, or maybe a little further away feels better for you. You can use blocks under your knees. So we're just going to stay here for a few breaths, but we want to sit tall here. So find whatever works for your butterfly pose with the knees out to the side, but the spine staying nice and tall. Chin is tucked slightly. Full breaths in, full breaths out. If you have space, You might want to start to fold forward a little bit over your butterfly pose. It's not necessary, but if you need just a little bit more stretch this morning, just feel free. And then release and sit up nice and tall. Let's bend the knees. We're gonna lower down, so make sure you have plenty of room to grab the back of your thighs and lower all the way down. Just rounding the back, coming all the way down. Bring the knees into the chest and give yourself a hug. Maybe doing some circles with your knees to help massage the low back. Go the other way. Circles. And then we're just gonna plant the feet on the ground. We're gonna reach the arms out long, palms down, just to ground our upper body. Let's lift our hips and move them to the right, just about an inch or so, not much. And then we're gonna take our right thigh and cross it on our left thigh. And just take a nice big inhale. As you exhale, let both knees just drop to the left. So if you need something to prop your knees up, you're welcome to use a block or bolster here. And you might even want to turn your head towards the right, getting a little bit of a twist even in the upper spine, the neck. And just letting gravity kind of dictate the depth of your twist here, but making sure that both shoulders stay really grounded. Just very slowly bringing your head back to center and lifting your knees to center. Uncross your legs and then just reposition your hips back to neutral, right in the center of your mat. And just take a breath here. Then lifting the hips, move the hips to the left just about an inch or so. Cross the left thigh over the right. Inhale. Exhale, let the knees come to the right. Look over your left fingertips. Again, letting gravity dictate the depth of your twist. So not trying to force anything here. Slowly inhale back to center. Uncross your legs. Bring your arms down by your side. Let's have our feet wide again. Do those little windshield wipers. This time recline. Just loosen the hips a bit. And then heel toe your feet back in line with your hips. And we're just going to straighten the legs out long. Reach the arms overhead. Big stretch. Maybe make some circles with the wrist going one way and then the other. Reach the fingertips out long, make fists, do whatever feels good here. And then we're just gonna walk the heels over to the right. We're gonna keep our hips where they are and then lift the shoulders and arms and head and move it to the right as well. Coming into a banana shaped pose. You can cross your left thigh or left ankle over your right ankle and maybe even hold onto the left wrist. Not pulling, but just guiding over to the right. Feeling a big lateral stretch on the left side of the body. We'll just be here for a couple of breaths. And then releasing your wrist and uncrossing your ankles, coming back to center. Take another nice big stretch here. And then walking the heels over to the left, shoulders, arms, and head come to the left. Cross your right ankle over your left and hold onto your right wrist, just guiding it over to the left as you feel this big stretch along the right side of the body. You can feel this all the way from your right ankle through the hip, the rib cage, under the arm, and all the way up through the elbow, maybe even the wrist. One more breath. Uncross the ankles. Release the wrist and come back to center. Take a big stretch. And so now we're going to prepare for Shavasana. So traditionally, Shavasana has your arms out beside you with the palms up, and the legs would be wider than your hips, just released and soft. Chin is slightly tucked, and the belly is soft. Have a natural curve in the spine. If this does not feel good for your spine, another really good alternative is to put a bolster under your knees, or just bend your knees and let your knees touch and let your feet be wide. So this is also perfectly acceptable. So finding whatever works for you in Shavasana as we enter into this pose and start to release any tension in our jaw and face, closing the eyes, feeling the earth holding our body as we feel heavy and safe and held. And so you're welcome to stay in Shavasana for several minutes if you have the time. Otherwise, just turn to your favorite side. You can rest your head on your arm, the knees bent. And then just gently making your way back to seated. And if you wish, you can join me with your hands at your heart, just being grateful for our practice together. Namaste.